Welcome, beautifuls, to our weekly energetic forecast. So I'm going to go through what's coming up for start of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. I'm going to spend the first little part of this live stream just talking about how to distinguish between the scammers and the real people, right? The fake people and the real people. So a lot of people have been asking me about the fake accounts because there are fake accounts that are going around. So let me share this live stream and then I'm going to dive into that, and then I'm going to dive into our weekly energetic forecast. So hello, and I'm trusting that it's not going to be too windy here. I was like, do I have my earphones in? Do I not? I just want to make sure you can be able to hear me. So let me share this and then I'm going to go through this. And by the way, the scammers, I want to say it's a good way to learn to trust your intuition, to know whether it's a scammer or whether it's real, right? With the accounts. So let me share this and I'll just run over that briefly because a lot of you guys have been messaging me and that sort of thing, which is awesome because you're already feeling that something is off, and that's the best way to work it, is to trust that. So I'll share this in one more place, bear with me. All right, shared. Okay, before we go into any of that stuff, I woke up this morning feeling a little bit rattled and I was like, right, get me to the beach. And anyway, I was sitting here contemplating things and you can see how flat and beautiful it is out there today, right? It's like a lake. Yeah, it's like a lake today. And, I literally saw dolphins jumping out of the water. I want to say I've seen dolphins frequently, living here and, going past, but actually fully jumping out of the water, jumping. I'm like, okay, all right. It's okay. It's okay, if I needed a sign in the liquid crystals, the dolphin relates to emerald, the liquid crystal emerald, and it is the, I think it's spiritual healing, or is it enlightenment? I don't have my liquid crystal cards with me right now. Regardless, it's definitely related to the heart and healing the heart and bringing us back to the heart. And I was like, and I just wanted to share that. I tried, I was like, do I get my camera? Because I knew if I got my camera and fucked around with it, I would have missed the dolphins, so I couldn't get it on camera for you guys. But I wanted to let you know because I just think it's the dolphins are very much heart healers, just like horses. They're heart healers as well. So yeah, and they have a very powerful frequency. If you need any sort of if you I love watching dolphins and whales. There's lots of people on Instagram and YouTube who have filmed the dolphins and whales underwater, and listening to the dolphin and whale sounds is very, very healing. So yeah, if you ever sort of, need nature, or if you live in a cold climate, listening to the ocean waves, watching videos with dolphins and whales with their sounds is very, very healing. It's a specific frequency. Of course, everything's got its own frequency, but it is very, very powerful and very healing. So going to do our weekly energetic forecast. Funnily enough, I have the Whispers of the Ocean Oracle card with me today. I felt like they needed to come. So before I jump into that, I just want to share about these scammers. So when I go live doing live psychic readings, it's probably a little bit, I was thinking about it, I'm like, it's a little bit why I maybe don't do it as often as I used to, because I don't know if they're bots or they pay people to do it. A lot of top huge psychics that I know as well have had, this happened over the last few months. It's amped up, and it does make me wonder whether they are getting paid to do it by certain companies. Yeah, you guys can read between the lines of what I'm saying there. So these scammers, okay, so if I'm live, or if I've just gone recently live in the past couple of days, and you'll be able to see that by going to my Reality Awareness Facebook page, or any of my platforms really. Like how to tell a real from a scammer is that, number one, you have to remember, I will never hunt you down, friend request you and private message you saying, I'm going to give you a free reading, just fill out this form, or give me your credit card, you're cursed, I can remove it, give me your credit card details, whatever. Like, I will never do that, okay? Number one, I don't need to. Number two, it's highly unethical. Number three, I don't run my business like that. If you guys need healing, if you need guidance, if you need support, you come to me, you send me a private message first or an email. I will never hunt you down and say that sort of stuff. Okay, you have to remember that. Now, not everybody operates their business like that, but I do. So please know that if you see Reality Awareness or Hannah Andrews or anything like that, like, that's not me. I'd never come to you, okay, because it's completely unethical and I don't run my business like that. Number two, if you look at the profile, like if you click on the link and go to their profile or whatever it is that they've created, there's usually like the spelling is wrong, or there's hyphens in the wrong places, and it doesn't spell correctly. Okay, if you look at Reality Awareness, it's spelled correctly. If you look at Hannah Andrews, my personal profile. My personal profile on Facebook, I think, is hannahandrews.359, right? So if you're ever unsure, send me a private message and I'll confirm it for you. You know, if it's, you know, like I just don't, even if you guys, you know, send me a message, I'm not like, hey, fill out this form. Like, I don't do that stuff, right? Like, I'm like, here's a link to my website. What's going on with you? I will support you. I will help you. Okay. Yeah, I know, right? There's all these people that impersonate me and do it. And like I said, I don't know if they're getting paid or, you know, and it's not just me, like other accounts get cloned and stuff like this as well. So I just wanted to really reiterate this. I did post it on my page the other day. Just saying, guys, people do that. It's not me. Don't do it. Yeah. Yeah, Gary says, how do you sleep at night? I know, I've done that to certain people as well. I'm just, you know, and sometimes they get angry when I call them out as well. It's just, yeah, exactly that. What else did I want to say about that? Yeah, and so, you know, I did say the other day for you guys to report them to Facebook for, you know, scamming or whatever like that. I get emailed from Facebook saying, you know, a friend reported this profile, and I actually got a lot of emails, so thank you guys. But also Facebook's like, we don't actually agree with this because, you know, we don't think that they're a scammer, basically, in whatever terms they use. And what I've realized is that the scammers have become more savvy, and they're actually creating personal profiles rather than a business page. So if they created business pages and people reported it, they would get flagged and taken off. But because they're just creating personal profiles, Facebook's like, it's just another person, so we don't think that that's wrong. So best thing to do is just to block and delete and just ignore it. Of course you can report it, but I don't think it's going to do anything at this stage. So I just really wanted to reiterate that to you so that you know that how I operate, how I run. I do not hunt you guys down. Like, if you need help, you know where to find me. Okay. And like I said, you know, and that, okay, so what I did want to say as well, that goes for any scam, yeah. Tamara says it doesn't go against the community guidelines. I know, it's crazy, right? You've been banned for reporting them, yeah, so maybe don't report them, just ignore it, block and delete. If you're unsure, send me a private message and I'll confirm it for you. But, you know, usually you can tell, and on the profile, if you click on it, like there's usually, like they've usually shared my posts, or they've like screenshotted it and uploaded. And if you scroll down, it's usually very recent as well, like 45 minutes ago, like all of them sort of thing. Like, it's just, it's fucked up. But I want to say that also goes for, like, you know, aside from me and my profile, it also goes for like any emails you get or phone calls, you know, and they're like impersonating, you know, government tax departments, and you got to pay or you're going to get in trouble or taken away to jail, or, you know, like I got scammed many years ago, right? And I freaked out and I'm ringing my accountant and stuff, and she's like, no, there's like scammers going around. And I'm like, And nowadays I can really pick them, and I, you know, like sometimes they call, sometimes people call and they're like, oh, you've been in this car accident and you need to pay this insurance. And I'm like, oh, like I know straight away, right? And I'm like, oh, really? What car accident is that? And they're like, you know the one. And I'm like, oh, no, you rang me. You tell me what it is. And they're either like hang up or they get really agitated and stuff. So the reason I'm sharing this is because it's a really awesome training for your intuition to be able to start picking this stuff, okay? Just like on my Travis Scott live stream last week, this is where we really start training our intuition on robots, bots, scams, like this, it's that, okay? So robots, scams, AI, this is where you're going to really start to fine tune your intuition and really start to call them out on their shit, basically, as well, yeah? And some people just hang up on you because they know that they're doing it wrong. And it is interesting. It's like, how do these people sleep at night, right? Okay, so let's jump into our weekly energetic forecast. Now we're talking about really trusting our intuition and getting clear on what's real and what's not. So for the start of the week, I thought that was my dog, but I'm like, I didn't bring her today. It's a full German Shepherd. She'll run past in a minute. Or he looks bigger than mine. Yeah, so maybe not report it. And isn't it interesting that we are getting banned for reporting stuff like this? It's, kind of interesting. I've been considering other platforms and thinking outside the box with things lately. All right. So our weekly energetic forecast for, I didn't even put the date on, what was it? Must be the 14th or 15th of November, I think. 15th of November. Our full moon ceremony is coming up this Friday as well. So full moon coming up. It's a partial lunar eclipse this Friday. So be very mindful we're in that partial lunar eclipse energy. And then in 2 weeks' time is a total solar eclipse. We're in very potent energy times right now. Okay? Very potent energy times. I feel like, this is even before I pull cards, I feel like the message I was getting yesterday when I was driving, true colors are going to be shown more and more and more and more this next coming week, but over this next couple of weeks. I think like leading up to Christmas, like that was the message. True colors are going to be shown, and it's going to get quite intense, if that makes sense. So, okay, that was the message. True colors are going to be shown. And it will be, this is like, when I was driving, this is the exact message that came through, yeah? You need some truth. All right, so you can always count on me for the truth, if you may. True colors are going to be shown. It is like you are looking through a glass window, looking at the show. Like, it wasn't like circus show. It wasn't like, what people say is show. It's like looking through a glass window and I think that that's meaning the very separate worlds that are going on right now. So the very separate worlds that are going on. I got the message that like the scrambling and Tourette's, it's like we're looking at people just going, wow, like, so people's mind and energy are being scrambled, and it is like they have Tourette's, like they're not functioning correctly. And the message that I got is that the direct message that I got is that as they are hooking up to the AI system, as they are hooking up to the electronic system with what's in their body, their mind is being scrambled as it's reconnecting. Like if you can imagine, like it's like when we connect in it. I don't know this is the right analogy, right? But it's like if we're connecting something into a computer and it's like filtering all this information and it's doing beep 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 beep, like it's connecting. It's connecting, yeah. And over this next 6 weeks, like leading up to Christmas, this is the message that I got, like it is going to be like looking through a glass window at the show, more so like just seeing the very different separation and the very different, I guess, consciousness of realities. Like that's going to become even more apparent. I don't know if it's just because of, you know, the people who have been jabbed and people who haven't. Maybe it's the unconscious people and the conscious people. Like, who really knows, right? But I think you guys can feel it, and I guess you're seeing it. And it's like as they are being connected to the grid, and there's something about the eclipses that are playing into that as well. So whatever energies are, you know, filtering through from the, you know, eclipses and whatever that does on its own, plus the connecting of the grid through people's bodies and system over the next 6 weeks is going to be amplified. You know, it was literally, like I said, the direct message was, it'll be like their mind is scrambled, like, and walking around with Tourette's, like as they're sort of, you know, like connecting in, like, you know, and it'll be interesting to see if sort of anxiety or, you know, just the shaky systems, like, do you know what I mean? It's very interesting, you know, that I saw that, but definitely with that, and the true colors will be shown, but there'll be a direct, like, real separation around, you know, the different levels of consciousness about what's happening. And again, the message is to not react to it. Yeah, so not react to what is going on, because we can see that, and we can see that connection of what's happening. To not, what was the word? To not tolerate abuse, definitely not. But to also just not buy into it. Yeah, it's almost like now more than ever is a time not to take things personally, not to feel rejected, you know, like, yeah. And for some reason, this next 6 weeks, you know, is going to be quite intense energetically. I did watch an astrologer yesterday, and he actually said until March, it's actually going to be really intense. And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense as well. So, you know, I think a lot of us are like, oh, when's this going to end? Or when's there a let up in the energies and, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, the best thing is to really take care of yourself. That's why I came to the beach again this morning. I was just like, right, I need to, you know, like, know, okay, here's how you protect yourself. Here's the things that will save you through this time, if you may. Know what fills you up. Know what your self-care is. Know what your thing is, right? So for me, it's beach, it's nature, it's, you know, it's exercise, it's good food, and then also whatever food I feel like as well. You know, it's know what will support you through this time and fill you up, because you're going to need it. Okay, you're going to need to know those things. So if you do not, literally get out a pen and paper and write down what those things are. Okay. All right, so now I've just said that sort of a mini energy update. Let's have a look for the start of the week. So I don't know if you can really see the light looks a bit dark because I'm facing with my back towards the sun. So this is diving to new depths. This is the start of the week energy. There is a deeper meaning to what is happening, confirming what I said. You might be looking at this from the surface and missing what is really going on. Take a moment to pause and breathe. Allow yourself to dive deeper into what it is you are feeling about your current situation. This is really confirming what I just said. There we go, you can see it with the sun. Diving to new depths, yeah? It is literally like, and I feel like us carrying the energy of other people will be more prevalent, and it actually is if our self-care is low, or if we're not looking after ourselves. If we're not clearing the energy once we've had a conversation with somebody, like it needs to be like really, like you need to be onto it, yeah? So my Clear and Activate pack is, if you don't have my Clear and Activate pack, make sure you've got that. It's free, it's at realityawareness.com, and you'll see the pink button and you'll be able to click on that, download it. In there is the sponge clearing meditation. That is like more powerful than a chakra clearing, than, you know, imagining white light. Like the sponge clearing is next level clearing for empaths. That's why it's in that package. That's why it's free, because everybody needs it. When you're not feeling good, when nothing's working, a sponge clearing is powerful at shifting stuff, okay? It's not like a normal clearing meditation, okay? So if you don't have that, make sure you've got it. You can listen to it on repeat if you need to, okay? Diving to new depths. There is a deeper meaning to what is happening. Just like I said, it's like we're looking through this glass window, and I feel that that's like the real separation of the realities that we can see happening. Glass windows in your house represent your soul or your car. So if they're dirty, your soul is dirty, like, you know, like sort of thing. So glass windows represent your soul and being able to see through or not. So the glass window separation is really seeing the truth about what's going on. You might be looking at this from the surface and missing what is really going on. Take a moment to pause and breathe. So if you're getting caught up in stuff, do those things that nurture and fill you up. For me, like I said, it's the beach, it's being out in nature, it's, you know, walking away from technology and leaving it all in my office and shutting the door and going outside in the bush or whatever, right? It's like, do and know the things before you make any decisions, before you, you know, if you're anxious or whatever the story is, like literally allow yourself to pause and breathe, allow yourself to dive deeper into what it is you're feeling about the current situation, because I want to say that your intuition is correct. And if you're getting confused, you've just taken on somebody else's energy about the situation. So make sure you're clearing your energy and pause and breathe and not getting caught up. So the thing is with the scams as well, you know, like we can be sitting on you know, technology, and we're sort of caught in rabbit holes or whatever it is. And so it's easy to get hooked in further by things that we would really pull ourselves out of if we hadn't been sitting on technology for so long, for an example, okay? Or if you're upset about something else in your life, you're going to get hooked into other things in your, you know, a lot easier. So just be mindful of that. Let's have a look for the middle of the week. Middle of the week's oh so beautiful. Enjoy the journey. Look how beautiful it is. Oh, there's the dolphins that I was talking about there. Yeah, I know people will be dobbing me in. They're just triggered. That's all good. So stay present and flexible. Many changes are going on. Stay present and flexible, okay? When we take care of ourselves, we can. Yeah, we're more resilient. We're not as, stuck on things. I don't know what the right word is. Yeah. Many changes are going on for you and around you. We all know that with the world. These changes are not only good, but necessary. Bring your awareness into the now rather than focusing on the past or future. So when we're stressed out about stuff, we're usually worrying about something in the past or the future. Big time, yeah? When we can take this time and bring ourselves back to the now, enjoy the journey, it's like our savior. Yeah? It's like our savior. Yeah? Fixated on stuff, yeah, like, and we're just like, yeah, we get stuck on it. And it's usually because, like, when we're fixated on something and controlling something, it's usually because we need to cry, because all the changes going on, like, change brings about grief. And if we're not, and with the world changes, like, so much is changing in the world, let alone our own life. And if we're not grieving those changes, we start to get more controlling, because controlling a situation helps us to, feel safe, yeah? Because change is scary for a lot of people. So in the middle of the week, enjoy the journey, yeah? Enjoy the journey. And there's something else with that. Let's just pull for the end of the week, this one here. Keeping it in check. The beautiful, is it otter or seal? It looks like an otter. Keeping it in check. Pay attention to what is going on around you. Ta-da-ta-da. You might be moving into something too quickly or missing some important details. I want to say dive into the depths. Dive into the depths. I want to say this keeping it in check is referring to the surface stuff. Doubting, confused. Like I said, like, you're confused because you've taken on somebody else's opinion. You know in your heart deep what is right for you and your path moving forward. Keeping it in check is not getting the doubts and the confusion to infiltrate your heart. Your heart knows what you need to do. Yeah? Your heart knows what you need to do Don't let anyone else's influence, whether it's fearful or like you shouldn't do that because blah, 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 blah. And it might be your own head, okay? So when we make a decision, our heart always knows. Yeah, our heart knows. And when we go to move forward in something, and I teach this in Trust Intuition, right? When we make a decision, doubt always comes up. It's when we got caught in that doubt, that's when we get confused, that's when the wheels spin, that's when we don't move forward, that's like all the things, yeah? As I always say, your heart always knows, your brain will find every single possible scenario of why you should not do that thing. As I always say, your head will overtake your heart. That is the way society has been trained. Okay, society has been trained since primary school, preschool even, kindergarten, whatever. Like we've been trained that way. Because humans are naturally heart-centered. We are. We genuinely care about other people. But for a society that has been put into schools from when they were 2 to 3 friggin' newborns, like there's nothing wrong with daycare centers, etc. Okay, but I'm just talking about from a societal structure. We are trained from a very young age to disconnect from our heart, to only listen to our head, to intellectualize everything. Feelings are not okay. Do not show emotion. This is cutting us off as a society from our heart. Okay, so when we start trusting our intuition, that's our heart. Of course, there's other faculties that, make up our intuition, of course, but a big factor of it is feeling. And it's feeling and trusting our intuition and training our heart to be bigger than our head. It's always important to listen to the head and, as I say, it's awesome to do like a purge or brain dump and get out a piece of paper and a pen and write down all the reasons why your brain is listen to your brain, like let it have a voice, okay? It's like stepping into shadow work, let it have a voice, okay, head, what is all the things wrong with this situation? And your brain will tell you all these things and you can write. And when this writing stops, you can ask the question again. And you can say, okay, what is all the things wrong with the situation? And your brain will go, oh, I got more. And you'll be like, okay, brain, what else is wrong with this situation? And your brain will go, okay, and there'll be more, right? When that eventually stops, you screw up that piece of paper and you throw it in the bin. And then, or you can leave it just on the side for a minute, because then you can say, okay, I am now choosing to create a reality for myself. I now choose to believe that everything always works out. I now choose to believe that I'm going to trust my heart. I now choose that I'm going to trust my heart. I now choose a different world. I now choose to believe, when we're creating our reality, we're changing something. Our body system doesn't like change. Again, we're trained in society to do what we're told, and that's it. When we start stepping outside of the norm, it's scary. Yeah? People get scared. So at the end of the week, keeping it in check, make sure you're not taking on other people's opinions or your head is overtaking your heart, because your heart knows. Okay? It feels a little bit like go with the flow. Remember, at the end of the week is the eclipse as well and the full moon. So it's going to be amping things up. And the bottom card is facing your fears. This card is what's it called? This card is this fish. I don't know what they're called. It doesn't say it on here. These are highly venomous fish, these ones. If you step on them, I don't know if paralyzed and go to hospital, definitely. Get ambulance airlifted out of the ocean. And I know that from tropical North Queensland as a kid. We used to go snorkeling and see them actually when we were snorkeling, but they're highly venomous. They've got all these spines on the end full of venom. So facing your fears. Yeah, it's the overlying card of the week. Look for ways to strengthen your connection to the universe and other people. Stay peaceful and calm in the knowing of who you are. Okay, I just said to you guys, the thing that's going to keep you out of getting pulled into stuff A lionfish, thank you. How did I forget that? It is a lionfish, that's right. Of course, it's a lionfish. Facing your fears, purging that stuff out is how you release your fears. There's no point in like trying to slap positivity over the top, okay? Especially when you're like, purge it out, write it down, right? But make sure you finish that purging session with the positive. You can take every negative thing that your brain or your fears said and turn it into a positive. Like, well, I shouldn't do this because of the money, for example. And it's like, well, I now choose to believe in abundance. I now choose to believe that I'm fully supported. I now choose to believe that I've always had money. Money always turns up from expected and unexpected sources. Like you rewrite it, okay? Because your brain will overtake your heart. It is the way society has been trained. It's the way that, they want us to stay in fear. You guys know that, right? So resetting your fight or flight. So anything that, takes you out of the flight or fight and resets you to, come back to that state of calm, taking out a flight or fight. So exercise, nature, I've said this before, but spending 2 hours minimum in nature, listening to nature sounds, resets your energy frequency. So just sitting in nature, like how often do we just sit in nature anymore, right? If you have to be on your phone, but sit against the damn tree, right? Sit at the water, sit at the lake, in the park, whatever. All right, so we're looking for what's conscious this week. What is this card? Oh, it's success. Success is what is conscious, okay? Maybe you're conscious of the positivity and the direction that you're moving in life and you know it's right, okay? This is the deep down intuition. You know it's right. This is what's conscious, okay? It's above and going on, right? This is the card above. And let's look for the subconscious, what's underneath in what you're unconscious of going on this week. It's this one here. In the near future. So it's like, you're like, when is this happening? Like, well, what do I do? And when? And, when's this world stuff happening? And when's this? And when's this? So in the near future is the unconscious piece, right? So the unconscious piece going on that's what's unconscious. So when we've got these cards, so we've got diving into the depths. We've got success above that's conscious. You see these in the light. And then underneath is in the near future. So I want to say when. The biggest thing about change is that we're taken out of our normal routines and people freak out because, routine does make humans safe. Okay, it does make us feel safe, and that's why your own personal routine, your own ritual, your self-care ritual, whether it's your morning ritual, your nighttime ritual, your daytime ritual, like what are the things that nourish you, okay? Because they're going to be like your anchor point. They're going to be your anchor point that bring you back to the safety, okay? Do the things that make you feel safe, diving to the depths, making sure that you're not taking on other people's energy, enjoying the journey. So really bringing, the success, that it's all going to work out. Like deep down you do, okay? Deep down you know that it's going to work out, okay? And deep down, when you know it's going to work out, everything else is just a thought, yeah? So coming always back into your heart, diving down into the depths of your heart is going to give you that solidified space to enjoy the journey. And then as we lead into the full moon, partial lunar eclipse at the end of the week, keeping it in check. Now I watched some astrological guy, I don't remember his name, and he said that on the 22nd of November, so beginning of next week, I think it was 3 or 4 days after the full moon I looked at it, which is kind of interesting timing because I always talk about the 3-day window of the full moon or any sort of major event. And so what he was talking about, I don't know, there's some astrological shift, and he said that there might be truths that come into the world, right? Or, truths are shown in the world, which is kind of interesting concept when I got the message yesterday around the true colors will be shown. So on a collective world stuff, it will be interesting to see what happens early next week, middle of next week, alongside the eclipse at the end of this week. So keeping it in check. So make sure, I'm really getting the message to reiterate this week, your anchor is your self-care. Your anchor is trusting your heart over your mind. Your anchor is the routines that keep you safe. Your anchor is the pieces that really take you deep into your heart. And it's almost like the more you can solidify your truth, the better. At the end of the month, I have my course coming up, Passion for Purpose. You've probably seen it, Purposeful Passion. It is literally about speaking your truth, aligning to your truth. It's very based in the throat chakra consciousness, what we're diving into in Passion for Purpose. It is literally solidifying your truth. It is the connection. Your throat chakra consciousness is the gateway between your head and your heart. A lot of people are cut off at their throat. Why? Because as a kid we're taught that it's not okay to feel, so we swallow our feelings. We're like blah 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 when we're just talking as a happy little kid, and then we get told to shut up, or in some way, shape or form. That's not right. I know better than you. Stop talking. Do your work. So we're like swallowing our own truth. It's like shutting our heart down. And that's why a lot of people cannot speak their truth in relationship, in life, in trusting their intuition, in all of that, because we've been shut down so much, right? Passion for Purpose at the end of the month. It's on my Facebook page. You can send me a message. I can send you the link. Is you coming into your truth and solidifying that into your heart. It is the gateway, right? When I teach the chakras, I start from the crown and I come down. Because for eons, we've been reaching up to the heavens. We are the heaven. Heaven on earth. Did you see my story? Yesterday was Sunday, today's Monday, here in Australia, at the beach, and I had the whole beach to myself yesterday as well on a Sunday. It was like, and this whole, like, the colors and everything, I was just like, oh, it's so, like, coming into the heart and solidifying the truth. Like, it is like the beautiful blues, where you guys can see it now, right? It's like so beautiful and so clear. And the more that we can do the things that make our heart feel full and nourished, is solidifying our truth to be able, like, that's our anchor in a world that is collapsing and we have nowhere, like, no understanding. Like, there's all these theories flying around that this could happen or this could happen. Like, everybody's like, so what's happening? Underneath, we're like, but what's happening? The only thing we know what's happening is what we are creating. Yeah, ourselves. This is why I was saying, earlier in the other live streams, I'm like, nobody's fucking coming to save us. Jesus is not coming to save us. God is not coming to save us. Trump is not coming to save us. I'm sorry, guys, but the only person coming to save you is your own freaking heart. That's it. If you're waiting for something outside of yourself to come and save us from this fucking mess, I'm like, you are giving your power away. That is exactly what they want. There is so much psyop shit out there. There is so much, in amongst the conspiracy theories, there is truth. And there is a lot of untruth. And those big corporations have purposely put people in there to fuck it up, to make us confused, so that you sit there like a little boy, a little girl still in school going, they're going to look after me. Like, fucking no. Nobody is. Our world will shift when we all grow up, when we take our power back and listen to our heart and solidify that. That's the only thing that's coming to save us. And the more of us that stand in that truth and have have a heart to also speak the truth, have the courage, which is our power, to speak that truth and stand in it, even when we're shaking in our boots, that's what's going to save us, guys. That's what's going to save us. Nobody's coming to save you. I'm sorry, but it's a harsh reality. But that's what's coming to save us, is us. And the more of us that stand together in that power, even on the front line, shaking in our boots, this is the time for the warriors. The front line, not some keyboard warrior sending links to Trumps and, this and that. I'm like, dude, you're just caught up in the fucking whole thing of it. The real stuff is standing here. There is so much psyop stuff through social media. It is why they've done it. The war is the one in your hand. And this is the whole thing, right? Diving to new depths. Don't take on the shit. It's the start of this week. Release yourself. Release yourself from thinking that somebody's coming to save you. Yeah? How you guys feeling about that? Because it's a hard truth and it's real. And it's somewhat scary because a lot of us don't know what to do. And this is where trusting your heart and intuition is so important right now. So I shared a video on my social media pages just the other day. It's called the Pyramid Pool. If you haven't seen it, scroll down, and it's like she's like a psychologist or something. It's not a video that I've done. She did it about 4 years ago, and she talks about the collapse of all of the, what's going on. Yeah. And it's literally like, if you're worried about the world stuff, you need to go and watch that. If you're not sure where to find it, send me a message and say, can you send me the pyramid pool that you were talking about? Okay. And this is why now more than ever, it's about focusing on your purpose. I shared it with someone and they're like, this is bullshit, Hannah. Like, let's go create art. And I'm like, your art is your heart. Your art is your heart, and your heart is your intuition. And that's what's going to save us. Standing up for what you know is true in your heart, regardless of the connection that's going on with some people in the world to the AI grid and to their brains being scrambled as they reconnect to a whole new frequency. Yeah? There are a lot of people out there helping. Yes, don't get me wrong. Okay, there are a lot of people out there helping. But when we're sitting there behind our little keyboards and sending links that we don't actually know if it's true or a psyop and believing that this person's coming to save us, I'm sorry, but you're wasting precious time when you can be supporting the humans that are waiting for your purposeful, heartfelt message to come out in the world. We all have platforms right now. We have them available. Anybody can start a Facebook page. Anybody can start a Google account. Anybody can. Of course, we have to be slightly mindful about what we're talking about on them, okay, in this day and age, and we do. But a lot of people are learning code, and a lot of people know the truth, and it's learning to trust your intuition to decipher what's real and what's not on your screen. And I talked about this so much. Yeah? When you understand how to trust your intuition, when you understand the intricate language of how your intuition communicates to you personally, because sure, there's certain things that we can learn about trusting our intuition, clearing out trauma and stuff, it's essential. Then the next phase is understanding how your unique intuition communicates to you with your unique language. Everybody has a unique signature frequency imprint code of who they are, and so does their intuition in communicating that to them. This takes time and is a skill to learn, and we've all got plenty of time right now. Okay? So please keep trusting your intuition. Okay? My course Trust Intuition is open now. The doors are open. The investment increases on the 1st of December, and we start the 6-month training next year on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022, all the twos. It was an intuitive date as always. Your gut has always been right. Yeah, when has your intuition ever let you down? A lot of people say, oh, it led me to heartbreak. And I'm like, if you back it up a little bit, you probably saw the red flags, ignored them, and kept going anyway. Okay? So trust intuition helps you to step out of this cycle. We clear out the trauma, and then we understand the intricate language about how to understand what our intuition is talking about. The link is in the title of this live stream. You can find it on my page or send me a message. It's on my website, realityawareness.com. There's lots of stuff on there. My website can be overwhelming for people. Send me a message if you need specific help. I don't do free private help. You will need to book in. However, if you send me a message, I've got like so many blogs and videos about so many different topics over the years that I can send you to different things on my website, and there's so much information I can help you with there to start with your intuition as well. My belly says, let's dance on a roller coaster and enjoy the ride. I'm pretty sure that's what this is about, right? Enjoy the journey, the beautiful colors of this. Like, everyone's in synchronistic harmony swimming under the ocean there, right? And for those of you who have just joined, I said at the start of this live stream, like before I went live, like there was dolphins literally jumping. Like I've seen dolphins frequently out here, but like fully jumping like that, not very often. So if we needed a sign, there's beautiful heart-centered dolphins frequency coming through this live stream for you guys. So let's do a recap of this week. So at the start of this week, we have diving to new depths. Yeah. So there is a deeper meaning to what is happening. You might be looking at this from the surface and missing what is really going on. Your heart, trusting your heart. Yeah. Allowing yourself to dive deeper into what you are feeling about your current situation. So for the start of the week, do not let confusion or other people's opinions cloud what you already know is true in your heart. Okay. In the middle of the week is enjoy the journey. Stay present and flexible. Here's where we're present. Here's where we're in the past or future. Okay. Here is the right now. Here is the truth. Many changes are going on for you and around you. These changes are not only good, but necessary. Bring awareness into the now rather than focusing on the past or the future. Okay. By the middle of the week, we will be inside the lunar eclipse, the partial lunar eclipse full moon that's on Friday. So be mindful, these energies might start ramping up a little bit, okay? Or just like, you might feel stretched in all directions is the sense that I'm getting. The end of the week is keeping it in check. So with those energies, keeping it in check, pay attention to what is going on around you. So it's almost like the feeling this week is to stay centered in the eye of the hurricane, yeah? You are the calm in the middle of the storm with everything going on around you, which is right in alignment with that message that I got intuitively yesterday about looking through the glass window at the chaos and like the people walking around with Tourette's and yelling at people and telling them what to do, and these keyboard warriors that are telling them what to do. And I'm like, would you walk up to my face on the street and say that to my face? Because I doubt it. You might mumble to yourself, but I doubt you will have the courage to say what you're saying on a keyboard to my face if you were to see me in person. I almost want to say I dare you in a way, right? Because I 99.99999% you would not have the courage. This is not for everybody, but for the people who are throwing nasty comments and judgments, you would not have the damn fucking courage to walk up to my face and say that to my face in person. So be so mindful about what and this goes for anything, right? Be mindful about what you're typing. Think about it. Would I say this to this person if I walked up to them on the street and I don't know them? I doubt fucking you would, right? This is keeping it in check. The energies are going to get intense. Okay. And if anybody, by the way, cops that on their Facebook page or anything they share and you get nasty comments, comment that back to the person. Hey, dear keyboard warrior, you don't have to say that bit. If you were to see me on the street, would you have the courage to walk up and say that to my face? Right? They'll probably like rant and rave. Then you just ignore it. Do not engage, but also speak the truth. Because the reality is that people are hungry for the truth. And not many have the courage to speak the truth. And the ones that are keyboard warriors, they're actually so fucking scared. The ones that are like preaching God and Jesus and repent and all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, like, haven't you got better things to do? I'm living my life. You came to my page. What are you doing here? Why are you watching stuff that you do not like? What a waste of precious God's time. Your purpose is needed. Keep it in check. Stay centered in the eye of the hurricane. In the near future, we do not know what's going to happen. But in the unknown, we can create any success, wherever the other success card has gone. We can create the success. We can create any future we want if we keep it in check, if we stay in our heart, if we are connected to the truth and we're taking care of ourselves. That is how we stay connected. That is how we create new worlds. Facing our fears is giving our mind a voice. Write it down, purge it, and then rewrite it. And then throw that negative stuff in the bin or safely burn it or however you get rid of it. Right?
Give it a voice. Let it speak to you. And then choose to rewrite it. I now choose to believe that everything works out fine. I now choose to believe that I'm always making the right decision. I now choose to believe that I'm always surrounded by loving people. I now choose to believe that I find people who are just like me. I now choose to believe that everyone knows the truth. I now choose to believe that people wake up by themselves. I now choose to believe that I trust other people's choices in what they're doing in their life. I choose what I'm choosing. And I choose to believe that I always make the right choice. I am abundantly supported. Life is beautiful. All is well. And everything gets better and better day by day. These are how we create the world. By you choosing our thoughts. We think so many thoughts in a day. So many. We also have the power. The only power we have is the thoughts that we think and the choices that we make. Does belief change subconscious programming? Thank you. What a freaking awesome question. So I'm going to finish with answering this question now because this is so important. Does belief change subconscious programming? I want to say yes. And I want to say but. There is also other work to do. Okay? If we've got a big garden that's full of weeds and we want to plant beautiful flowers in there, we can definitely put that seed in there and hope that it grows amongst the weeds. 99% of the time we have to rip all the weeds out, prepare the soil, put new soil in, put the new seeds in, and tend to the new seeds that are growing up and pull the other weeds out as they start. That is how our subconscious works. When we first start saying positive affirmations or doing work to change our belief systems in our life, there's a whole garden of weeds there. Yeah? And that's why when people start this work and they're like, positive thinking doesn't work. It's like, yeah, have you cleaned out the garden bed? Whilst it's important, the repetition is so important. That's why they keep us in school for 12 years and then university if you choose to go that far. Repetition. And when you also do this, you have to remember that you're undoing. So I'm 37. So you have to remember that if I just started now, I'm undoing 37 years of my life. Okay? Let alone what they hammer in school. So if you're just starting and you've even done it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, give that in comparison to the whole length of your life. It's not much still. And this is just the way you now live. And sometimes it's really hard. When you some days it might be easy and you say those positive affirmations and life's flowing and you're in synchronistic flow and you're like, yeah, that's amazing. And then you hit up a wall and you're like, this shit isn't working anymore. What's happening is that weed is like coming up, yeah? And the weed comes up, right? Because that flower is getting stronger and the weed's like, this is my space, and it's almost fighting for territory, if you may. And so when we know that when it gets hard, especially after we've been doing this for a bit, you're about to have a breakthrough. I say this all the time and it's so important because so many people give up and you're just about to have a breakthrough. Okay, so if you can look at it as though like, a weed's coming up, okay, I just need to do some weeding. Now that might be a deep subconscious trauma that is surfacing. It could be past life, okay? And in Trust Intuition, I teach all these tools. Like Trust Intuition is basically understanding your subconscious and all the tools to be able to like heal all this stuff, because this is what happens when we're reprogramming and changing our life, and our entire life has been programmed a certain way for a reason. Yeah, and so when we can understand tools and support and be around people who do this, like myself and my tribe or other people, right? And know how to pull out the weeds when they surface and know that they are weeds, that's where the success lays. Yeah, that's where we, once we pull out these weeds that start to surface after a while, right? Because the roots are deep and they've been there a long time, yeah? And they come up from other places, right? They're infiltrated from generational stuff that's like deep in the surface. Yeah, it's generational, past life generational, soul generational. There's so many different levels in that in itself. Yeah. So really important to know the tools. Again, this is what I teach in Trust Intuition. Yeah. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with that. So know that this stuff works. And by the way, so a little last scenario. So there is I actually teach this in one of my short courses actually. So what you also have to remember is that both are important. Okay, so I like to say that the belief programming is head and the subconscious is heart. Like if we look at what I've been talking about on this live stream, that's like the sort of separation, if you may, in a way. Okay. You need both. And what I mean by that is you can do like work to shift out big trauma through your subconscious, do whatever healing modality works for you. Again, I teach this in Trust Intuition. And when you like, you know, pull that out, if you look at it as though like you've pulled out the big root, the main cause, and like it's been there for 30 odd years, let's say. Okay, so you pull it out and all of a sudden there's a hole here. Okay, bear with me, it's a hole, but it's not, bear with me. So you've pulled it out and there's just a hole there. That trauma's not there anymore. But what you have to remember, there's all these neural pathways, there's these nervous system links that go into your brain, and it's certain thought patterns that you've been thinking for 30 years. So even though this has been pulled out, those roots or neural pathway or nervous system like cords, if you may, are still there. And so this is where the rewriting of your thought patterns, i.e. positive affirmations, and there's so much you can go into just in that, is so important. Okay, so when you pull out a trauma, you also have to rewrite your programming so that it, you know, it doesn't start growing back in there of what you've already been thinking. Does that make sense? This is so important, okay? And so it kind of is like the thing of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. Was these thoughts, the negative thoughts or the way we've thought about life, did that start because the trauma was there? Or did we start thinking that way and it created the trauma? Chicken or the egg, right? Regardless, okay, regardless, when you pull out the trauma, you have to rewrite your programming, okay? Positive affirmations. And I'm not just talking about once or twice, you know, once a week. I'm talking about every day and listening to positive affirmations and da-da-da-da-da, right? And then there's also, you know, we can reprogram our positive thoughts and a trauma will surface, or we can shift out a trauma and we need to reprogram. Again, chicken or egg. Doesn't matter which way you do it, as long as you're conscious that there's two parts, okay? And that's what's really important to understand. And that's why when a lot of people start this stuff, they're like, it doesn't work after a certain amount of time, or we have a hard day, or we hit a wall with it. It's just because there's another weed coming up. And it's awesome because it might be a deep generational weed that was buried deep down in there, and it's good to clear that out. Yeah? Yes. Yes, awesome. All right, guys. Have a beautiful week. If you've got questions, type them in the comments. Send me a message. Like I said, I don't do free private help, but I can definitely direct you to blogs, live streams. Like I've got so much stuff on my website. If you go to the self-help section on my website, there's so many things there. There's, you know, psychic readings that I've done in the past where you can go to that page and look at that page, and like if you just need an answer now, like go to that page on my website, close your eyes, ask the question, scroll down, click on one, scroll across, and there'll be a message for you. Okay, there's all the different topics that I've covered, and then if you scroll further down that self-help page, you can actually go in chakra by chakra into the different, you know, consciousness of the chakra. There's so much support on there. Okay. All right, thank you guys for being here. I love you so much. I shall see you very soon. Keeping it real as always. We're in this together. See you soon.